why playing in the All-Star game is playing hard-ish is not an option in the All-Star game then. Like the NHL had a great weekend, and they had country versus country, and that seemed to really work. And a lot of people are saying, hey, that's what the NBA should copy, U.S. versus the world. My counter, guys, is I think the United States team knows they get their butts kicked, so maybe they don't want to do that.
Well, and that's where I wanted to go, Ev, because my question is the guys not playing hard during All-Star weekend or in the All-Star game, them not wanting to get hurt or them not wanting to get embarrassed? Because that was a lot of the pushback as to why they didn't want the young players, the Rising Stars champion, to be a part of this All-Star game in the current format, is because the veteran players that made the All-Star team had nothing to gain and everything to lose if you get embarrassed and you lose to the Rising Stars team. So maybe that's the biggest point of difference when it comes to how they play during the All-Star game versus how they play in pickup games in the summertime as they're building up for training camp. There aren't a whole lot of cameras around. There ain't a national TV audience when those guys are playing in the summertime. But when you're playing on the All-Star weekend in the All-Star game, every outlet that covers the NBA is going to be there. So maybe it's more about the players not wanting to be embarrassed in front of their peers, in front of the world on an All-Star game format versus them not wanting to get hurt.
But wouldn't that then at least propel them to want to play as hard as possible, that fear of getting embarrassed? If you're representing your country in the All-Star game and you're afraid that you're going to get
Well, you still got a chance to get embarrassed if you play hard. If you don't play hard, then how can you say you got embarrassed because you're not trying?
Because you're not taking it seriously?
Exactly.
But if I'm the NBA, I'm looking at every possible avenue in order to get these guys to play at max effort. And maybe that set of expectations, like, hey, you're representing our country and the world has the better crop of players, so you better come bring it, is enough to make them put forth that effort. I don't know, but I do appreciate that they keep trying things, but there has to be something else up their sleeve for next season.
Well, this part doesn't help either, even if it may be true, and I love Draymond's analysis all the time. He is very insightful at what he says. Love him or hate him, he always is interesting in what he's saying. And Draymond Green had a press conference over the weekend and discussed that he believes the NBA is boring.
It's not smart basketball no more. I saw a clip not too long ago where Kobe said, like, yo, it's accidental basketball. He couldn't have been more right. It was so refreshing to play against Bron because every possession is like a chess match. But you don't just get that on a regular basis. It's just who can run faster, who can hit more threes. It's no substance. And so I think it's very boring.
And now he gave the reason as to why he believes it's very boring.
I think the physicality has been taken out of the game. And to me, that's boring. The old style of refereeing will come back, where if you've earned stripes, you get a better whistle. That's just the way it used to go. And now, it's not that way. And then you question why is the game boring? Michael Jordan used to get calls, but not the rookie coming into the league. He didn't get no call. The rookie coming into the league got a call, or thought he was going to get a call. He turned to the referee and said, you didn't call that. And he said, who are you? Why would I call that for you? What have you done? So I think the human element has been taken out of it. I don't think that makes for a great product.
So this a quick story time for a second. In my house, we have a rule. Negative self-talk causes a $1 fine, and we have to put it in a jar, literally.
Love that.
I love that, too.
Love that.
Now, that is because there is someone who lives in our house who has mastered the negative self-talk. Now, I'll let you guys guess who that person may be.
Is that why you don't put money in our jar? Because you've spent it all on your negative self-talk at home jar?
I have no money left, guys. So, basically, we have the $1 fine for the negative self-talk. Why can't NBA players talk about all the brilliant stories that actually exist instead of the negative self-talk? Like, while that may be true, how could that help? Seriously, how do his comments help?
Are you saying have those conversations in private, not in public?
Yeah, because
don't bash your product.
Why can't Draymond say, just for example, hey, you guys are talking about all the negative things. Do you realize the Los Angeles Lakers just traded for Luka? Do you realize the other night we watched a guy in Steph Castle who's going to play with Wemby really kind of break out here? Do you know that I'm on a team now with Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler? And, oh, by the way, this other guy, Jonathan Kuminga, who we didn't trade, is going to come back and learn from us? Do you realize the Oklahoma City Thunder, and everybody says, oh, it's just about New York, L.A., Chicago, big markets. Are Oklahoma City Thunder the best team in the league? Do you know what the Cavs have done minus LeBron James now? Like, there are great stories around this league. And your favorite sports malls, baseball, did this forever. The negative self-talk. That's why the NFL, yet another reason the NFL is amazing, the NFL never has the negative self-talk. They brag about how great they are, and they're right.
But they also don't have to complain because everything is roses for the NFL.
I get it. But at some point, the negative self-talk has to stop with this league.
Here's the problem with that, Ev. Because as a player, when you come into the league, and I've heard NBA players talk along these same lines, certainly in the NFL locker rooms, the veteran players will tell you leave the game better than you found it. And if you're Draymond Green, you're closer to the end than the beginning, and you're looking at your career mortality. You're also looking at your overall legacy, being a part of one of the greatest modern-day dynasties that we've seen in all the sports, not just the NBA. And you're thinking about the current state of play. And it's not a compelling product night in, night out. And the thing that has led to that is this infiltration in analytics where they tell you that it's all about pace of play, it's all about shot volume, it's all about taking the right kind of shots, which are threes and layups and nothing in between. And he's not wrong. Draymond's not wrong in his assessment of the game and what teams are emphasizing and what they're valuing. But we have to understand that what they're valuing has led to a product that doesn't highlight all of the skills that all of the players have. And it's a little bit disappointing. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. We're in an era in the NBA where points have never been cheaper. And when I sit down and watch a game like what we saw with the Knicks and the Hawks before the All-Star break where it's 148 to 149, I'm sorry. That's not entertaining to me. It's not. It looks like a version of the All-Star game, and you're watching that in a real-life regular season game. It's absolutely ridiculous when 300 total points are scored. So, yeah, I'm with Draymond on this one, and I hate to sound like the old man that's saying, get off my lawn, but the NBA has an issue with that. And I don't know what the solve is. I know baseball, once it went through its phase where analytics was the end-all, be-all, you saw them start to make a shift. They said, hey, we're going to get rid of the shift. You know what I mean? Like, we want to actually have guys that value batting average and putting the ball in play because we want more action. We just don't want home runs. We don't want strikeouts and nothing in between. They wanted something different. And I don't know what that looks like in the NBA, whether it's allowing hand checking or pushing back the three-point line even more to make it not as good of a shot when it comes to overall percentages. But they have to do something to make it a more compelling product game in and game out. Because right now, during the regular season, the NBA is boring.
The most exciting part of the NBA currently is the player movement.
That's it.
And I don't know if that's an indictment on the product as a whole and what we're seeing on the court. And I also think it's so funny, the irony about Draymond talking about the game being boring when the style of play that his team implemented is hugely influential in the copycats that we're seeing around the league that has led us to this point. But anyway, as somebody who does not have an NBA team, who is just a neutral observer, I'm more interested in player movement than I am the games. The games to me don't really get exciting into the playoffs. And granted, again, I don't have a team that I root for night in, night out for the entirety of the season, so I'm a little different. But I'm exactly the type of person that they should be trying to hook. Somebody who is just a casual observer that wants to get more into it. And unfortunately, some nights I'll tune in and I don't know who's going to be playing. Some nights I tune in and it doesn't feel as competitive. And I don't know if the overall player movement has been bad because you're not as invested in the same people on the same team over and over again. But these big-time blockbuster stars and these big-time blockbuster trades that happen every year feel to be the high touch point of the season. And that's a problem if you're the NBA.
All right, coming up. Could the owner of an NFL team, air quotes, actually play for his own team? We will get to that after Smalls has this from Verizon.
Are you out there stuck with an old or broken phone? Well, switch to Verizon, and for a limited time, they're going to pay it off. Up to $800.